Well, there have been heart-wrenching visuals emerging from flood-ravaged states from Karnataka to Gujarat. In Chamoli and Uttarakhand, an entire house was washed away by the flash floods. In Belgaum, a crocodile was seen sunning itself on the roof of a house. A nail-biting rescue by the Indian Air Force in Kutch, and the entire ground floor of the main market street in Sangli submerged gives one a perspective of the magnitude of the floods and the challenge at hand for authorities to first organize rescue and relief operations and now to prevent waterborne epidemic from spreading.
A crocodile on the roof of a home underwater in flood-hit Belagavi in Karnataka. The reptile on the roof, an indication of the situation in the flood-hit northern part of the state. In Karnataka, water has finally started to recede, but more than 40 people have been killed and almost 6 lakh have been forced to leave their homes in the state. Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa still doesn't have a cabinet, but after time spent in North Karnataka, on Monday he moved to Dakshina Kannada and Mysuru districts to oversee relief work. In neighbouring Maharashtra, even though the situation is slowly starting to get better, towns like Sangli still remain largely flooded. Now the next big challenge, how to avoid disease and any waterborne epidemics.
Now several agencies from across Maharashtra are over here. They are spreading medicines to ensure that not many people get ill.
We are here at the right time, so we will treat this entire area, and we just have started our work. So wherever there are mosquitoes breeding, so we'll treat this area.
In Kerala, decrease in rain intensity has come as a relief as rescue operations continue. 20-year-old Jishnu and several volunteers pack relief material in Thiruvananthapuram to be sent to the worst affected areas. Jishnu is grateful to the unknown volunteers who rescued his family from floods in Kozhikode.
The thing is that my family, they affected this flood. So I have to do something. I can't sit and steady right now. We all are human, so we have to do what we can.
Rahul Gandhi, MP from Wayanad, one of the worst affected districts, spent a second day in his constituency.
It's a tragedy, not only for Wayanad but for Kerala and also some of the other southern states. I spoke to the Prime Minister and I mentioned to him some of the details that I knew about Kerala and Wayanad. And I told him to make sure that central government gives full support. Now it is up to them, frankly.
The death count has only been increasing, with over 50 people still missing since the 8th of August, most of them from Malappuram. With over 2.5 lakh people in relief camps, the focus now also shifting to relief collection. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan reviewed the situation with district collectors of affected districts.
The return to normalcy for affected states is going to be a long way ahead and requires mindsets to also change. But for now, this is where everything begins. People coming forward to help with what they can. With Maya Sharma in Bengaluru and Sohit Mishra in Sangli, Sneha Koshi from Thiruvananthapuram for NDTV.
Well, one of the reasons we are looking at this very closely, quite besides the humanitarian disaster which you've seen in that story, is to try and understand what this is a part of. I'd like to introduce my panelists, G.P. Sharma, President of Meteorology and Climate Change at SkyMet. Thanks very much for being with us. Nitin Desai of the Energy Research Institute, the chairman, sir, thanks very much for being with us. Dr. Sunita Narayan, Director of the Center for Science and Environment. Let's just bring up that first map of ours. And this is attributed to the Indian Met Department. And what it does show, if we can have that across in full screen, the blue areas show a large excess. That's 60% and more of excess rainfall, right? That's the dark blue parts. So you can actually see in Maharashtra 161% excess, Gujarat 112%, Karnataka 128% excess, and then on that same map you can see a large deficit. Just look at Lakshadweep, tiny area, but a negative 70% deficit. If you look at The northeast, you can see Meghalaya also, a negative 64% deficit. Tripura, a negative 60% deficit as well. And then you've got normal in only a handful of states across the country. Let's move to the next graphic to try and understand what we are looking at. The next graphic will give you an idea of the uneven spread of the rainfall, and this is actually quite interesting. The north of the country thus far, negative 10%, 13% or positive 13% in the center of the country, and about 5% in the south of the country, minus 15% in the east of the country. Is this really going to be the new normal? And we also ask this because this comes at a time when we've seen bizarre, strange weather patterns in so many parts of the world. We've seen polar ice caps cracking in areas where they had never cracked. We've seen extraordinary heat wave conditions in parts of Europe as well. Let me come across to you, Sunita, first. Is this likely to be the new normal, abnormal rainfall patterns?
Absolutely, Vishnu. We've been seeing it for the last some years and it's only getting worse. What is very clear, and climate models have predicted this, that we will see more extreme rain. You have to understand the map that you just showed. There is not the fact that you have excess in certain parts of India, but that excess has come in such extreme rainfall.
Yes.
You have had rain of the entire year falling in a matter of hours. So you are beginning to see today what has been predicted will happen with climate change. So what we are in is a double whammy. On one hand, you're seeing climate change induced extreme rainfall. On the other hand, our own mismanagement of our drainage systems, of our ponds, our tanks, our ability to hold that water has been destroyed. So it's a double whammy. One hand climate change, the other hand our own gross mismanagement.
Okay. Mr. Desai, another statistic which I actually have with me. In late April, this is a NASA article, I'm reading from it, the state of Andhra Pradesh was struck by about 40,000 lightning bolts in 13 hours. That's more than the number of strikes that occurred in the entire month of May 2017, striking people and livestock.
Yeah.
They've got numbers about the incredible thunderstorms which we've seen in other parts of the country as well. Is this part of global warming?
I would say yes. Exactly as Sunita has just explained to us, this is the prediction of climate models, which I may summarize as more rain on fewer days. So you'll have long periods of very little rain, dry spells, and then you'll get enormous amounts of rain in very short spells, as she explained to us. This is going to be the new normal. And
why is that dangerous? I understand flooding is the problem, drainage is the problem.
Because there are two things that I would say. One, there is a big difference between the impact of heavy rainfall in urban and rural areas. Normally, if you have heavy rainfall, you need drainage to take it away. In rural areas, you will have ponds, you will have rivers, etc. In urban areas, everything is covered.
Yes.
It's all asphalted,
Correct.
it's all tarmac, which means that if you get an excess, and you saw that most of your things of excess were mostly from urban areas.
Yes.
So the second thing that you must understand is that basically the impact of this more rain on fewer days in urban areas is truly catastrophic, because they are not designed for that. Third, as she mentioned, we have choked our drainage channels. You know the famous thing in Bombay.
The famous thing in Delhi is that every year they clear remove the silt, which has never happened
I can pour a bucket
decades.
of water
Yes.
into operation, there will be a flood. But that's basically, you saw the Methi River thing. Basically, in traditional societies, in my village for instance, if somebody wanted to build a house, the question which was asked by the community was not where are you going to get your water from, the question which was asked is where is your water going to go?
Yeah.
And we have lost sight of that. Today, I would say the time has come when if we are going to take climate change seriously, we have to pay as much attention to drainage as we do to water supply.
Mr. Sharma, why is this happening? What is the science behind this?
See, firstly, I would like to add on to what Sunita said and Mr. Desai also. It's a fact. Yes, the first of this month, when we see all the 4 regions, the picture which you showed, they were all deficit.
Yes.
And we see now the center and the southern parts, they have gone in excess.
Yes.
9% of seasonal deficiency which we had as of 1st of August is consumed with these surplus rains, which is huge. So within about 10 days, the rainfall which should be there almost in about, I think, 20 days or so, that has fallen in such shorter time. And that is what has raised this problem.
Yes.
It was not in one pocket. Normally you have floods coming in one pocket, but simultaneously entire west coast, whether it is Maharashtra, then Karnataka and then Kerala, it was miserable. It was painful to see those scenes. The thing is, it's a very common thing, yes, that monsoon will come and some systems will be very strong, some system may not be that strong. We knew that the system which has struck the last one through and through the central parts and affecting the southern parts, it's a very strong system, and in any case huge, the deluge in any case was expected.
Yes.
But then what I fail to understand is this is the I will say characteristics of the monsoon. This is the vagaries of weather also, that these will bring these heavy rains or such catastrophic rains, they will come.
But never in so short a period of time.
Yeah,
right?
but yes, that is the main thing, that it has happened. It has happened across Madhya Pradesh, across Gujarat, across Maharashtra, across Kerala, simultaneously, one after the other.
Sure.
Last 1 week, if we say, that's
Okay.
a scenario. Yeah.
Sunita, again, same question to you. What is the science behind this? Why is this happening? Is there a link between what's happening in the North Pole, in Europe, and heat wave conditions over there? Or is it different?
You know, the weather is the most globalized creature in the world, and the fact is that we are beginning to see huge changes in weather across the world. And you know, the monsoon is the one that is worst impacted, and it was predicted it would happen. It's happening in our lifetime. But Vishnu, I think the point that we are all struggling, and I think the point that we want to make very clearly, is that what makes this even worse is what I keep saying: we're having drought in the middle of flood and flood in the middle of drought. Because please understand, till just about 15 days ago, these same regions were in the grip of the worst drought possible. And drought is crippling. It destroys people, villages, livelihoods, livestock. And now there is so much water, and that there is a flood, and that as this water drains out, there's going to be a drought again. And it's this vicious cycle of drought and flood that we are just, it's getting worse and worse, more intensified. And the answer therefore is for us to get really serious about our ability to hold the water, to manage the water. I mean, just think of Kerala. Kerala, after last year's drought, flood, had the worst drought possible. And now it's again in flood. And the fact is that we have dams, we impound water in the dams, and today with this extreme rain that comes in a short time, dams are not able to hold the water, and then we release it, and that exacerbates the flood. So it's time we understood that this is not the new normal, this is the abnormal that we are going to have to handle. And we get serious about this. Yeah. We are still not serious, Vishnu. No. We talk a lot about it at the time of drought, at the time of flood, and then we just go back to business as usual.
Yeah, and it's all reactive. We talk about rescues and bravery and all of that. It just strikes me that, you know, we are missing the larger point over here.
Absolutely. What you're missing is the point that we have to prepare for this. This is part of the adaptation to climate change that we will have to undertake. That there will be this great variability of the monsoon over, as he says, between drought periods and flood periods. In fact, it will vary a lot across the country also. So I would say that if I were sitting there in the government, I would say when you start talking water, don't just look at water supply. Start also looking at the totality of water use from when it comes to when it goes, including keeping river channels available, keeping reservoirs available, keeping ponds available, stopping people from building across drainage areas, avoiding encroachment on floodplains, and so on. And particularly in urban areas, there is total absence of any preparation for these types of events.
Weather patterns.
I lived in Bombay, and as a child, I remember we always used to look forward to rainy day holidays.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now it's not just rainy day holidays, it's rainy day catastrophes.
Look, I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us and sharing that perspective. No real answers on, perhaps answers on what we need to do, but no direct answers on why this is happening, except there are models now which suggest that this is going to happen all too frequently. It's all very worrying. I'd like to thank all of you very much for being with us. Out of time. I'll be back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Till then, good night.